One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just so many hours you spent on the phone, I wasted here loving you. Now you gonna tell me that you're on your own, you're leaving me sad and blue. Just so many days you've been on my mind, you been stop trouble on down the line. Fool if I go, fool if I stay, tell you what I'm gonna do. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Let it roll, let it glide, let it fall.
Howdy. Welcome to this 41st episode of the Clay and Woodrow Show. A lot of things on my mind today. We'll have no transitions. We'll have no form. First of all, Mr. Producer, good morning.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic.
Great.
Just right off the bat. Not too many episodes away from episode 50. And so we're going to have some big announcements on what's going to happen on episode 50. By that, I'm alluding to the fact that we've got things in mind for what's going to happen at episode 50, and we actually have no idea what we're going to do on. We've never even discussed it,
Right.
But we're supposed to have a build-up. That's what I understand. We're supposed to have a build-up. We even had a little technical difficulty today.
Yeah.
We had to bring in our technical engineer. He's on the 18th floor. We're on the 17th floor. So Craig Philpott came down, and we thank Craig for coming down to get everything worked out. He's our sound and engineer manager. I'm not sure what we call him here in the organization, but Craig, we appreciate you coming down to working with us on that. This the 41st episode Channing Tindall of the Georgia Bulldogs, linebacker, very fast, doesn't get a lot of playing time because there's a lot of good linebackers ahead of him, but episode Channing Tindall. And this, the not the sponsor of the week, the person of the week that we want to identify, just what we call old good cat in the community is Rip Snow. Whoop, whoop. Now, Rip would never in a million years watch a Clay and Woodrow show, quite frankly, because he's a person of character and class.
Correct.
So, yes, so he would never watch this. So if you could somehow or another so here's the deal with Rip, and I think people know him because of, his RV snow construction, Rip Snow construction, whatever. We don't need to plug that. That man, if you called him today for him to come work at your house, it'd be a year and a half before he can come. That's how highly sought after he is. That's not why we're bringing him up. He doesn't need any help. He doesn't need any marketing help for that. But just a solid Christian guy. So I will tell you this, having gone to seminary and done seminary things, Rip is smarter than any seminary professor that I ever had.
Yeah.
And I had some good seminary professors. I mean, I had Dr. Keithley at New Orleans. I had some really solid folks at seminary. And Rip one time asked me about going to seminary. I was like, no, it'd really be wasted on you. There is no need for you to go to seminary because you're smarter than everybody in the room, including now. And of course, Rip's so humble. He's like, oh, Clay, that's I'm learning something new.
Yeah.
But Rip's the smartest dude, theologically speaking, walking around Waycross, Georgia. Just a humble guy, will do anything for anybody. Is Craig still back there helping you, Mr.
Yeah,
Producer?
he's making a lot of noise. Come on, dude.
Come on, Craig. Get your act together. So I think we're putting together our set as but thank you, Craig, for popping in and helping us today. So we have a lot of things we're going to talk about. Some of these things on our list we may not even get to, and there will be absolutely no order whatsoever to this at all. But first, right off the bat, and I know we're delayed in this, and the steam's everybody's kind of maybe off the high a little bit. Just want to congratulate the Pierce County Bears, for being first-time state champions for that community. That was an exciting time for them. Watched that football game and enjoyed every minute of it. I will say this: their opponent, Oconee County, needs to be given a lot of kudos as well. Both teams played with a lot of character and composure. You can tell both teams were very well coached teams. So I thought that was very, very neat as well. And then if we can, once again, with no transition, just kind of jump into the things of the day. So since we have been gone, Mr. Producer, we can have a 6-hour show with all the stuff that's been, because you'll just look down at your phone and there's and I hate the term fake news but there is a lot of fake news. And by the way, on both sides of the spectrum and all that kind of stuff, but you will see something on your phone and you'll just say, well, that's probably not true. You'll see something on Facebook. You're like, well, I doubt that. That's probably not true. Right. And then you're just like, you look down your phone real quick and just like, this is a bit more sensational than it should be, but more or less everyday citizens have stormed into the Capitol and have shut it down. They're broken. And I was like, well, that's an impossibility. That can't happen. No. That's the most highly, that's like Fort Knox. There's no way that. I said, so, and then I start, well, it's major news. And so I start, lo and behold, sure enough, that did occur. Yeah. And I was just like, man, what is the world, coming to? And I'm not a theological expert on the revelations of things that are going on, but something's cooking. Okay, that's my theological statement. Something's cooking. I think the Lord has decided He's not going to tarry, and these are the signs that the whole world is coming to an end. But first, let me tell you why I think, number one, why the world is coming into an end is that I'm not saying which one of my family members, but I took my family members to Buc-ee's.
Yeah,
and one of them was just like, there's too many people. Oh. And so that was my first sign. I was just like, good night. Did I mention this? So when I walked into Buc-ee's isn't in on my list, but Buc-ee's excites me, man. Do you know, did you see, well, they have just a tub of bacon grease.
No way.
I don't think we talked about it on the show. No, did we talk about that?
No, that's awesome.
And I was just like, I don't know of anything better than that. And I have no idea what you would do. And when I say a tub, I mean a tub of bacon grease. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying baking. I'm saying bacon.
The bacon.
Like the pig.
Yeah.
I was just like, that is phenomenal.
Do you eat vegetables?
I love vegetables.
You put that in the vegetables, it makes them
taste
glorious.
like dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, I was just but another sign that maybe the world's coming to an end, that the Lord's not going to tarry, is that, once again, not going to mention which family member, my daughter, she's just like, there's too many people. She didn't like Buc-ee's. And I was just like, well, I let her ride the rest of the trip with us, but I would not speak to her. I had nothing to do with her.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. And I was just like, man, Lance, and you are a child of mine, and you don't find this to be better than Disney World? Yeah. So that occurred, all kind of crazy. So just randomly going through crazy. I'm going to get on a rant because some things. So we had the Georgia Senate election. So, Mr. Producer, we try to educate people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If nothing, we are teachers here at the Clay and Woodrow Show. And when I say something that I believe occurred, that doesn't mean that I'm excited that occurred. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if I say, I hate to tell you, but Georgia Republicans, David Schaefer, who I think is the state Republican chair party, and I don't know, he may not be. He's a nice enough guy. Mm-hmm. I kind of know him. But they got their eyeballs beat out. That doesn't mean I'm excited about it. I just observed something.
Yeah.
Mr. Producer, do you follow me?
It happened. Yeah.
So, like, for example, if I say, you know what, this year Florida kicked our tails, you don't interpret that as meaning that I was pulling for Florida.
Oh, no.
Okay. Well, our listeners sometimes struggle with this here thing. When I say Stacey Abrams took the Republican Party onto a basketball court and she beat them left-handed.
Yes.
I mean, three-pointers, dunks, whatever. Stacey Abrams just tore the Republican Party apart. And she was a one-person wrecking crew. Now, she will be rewarded for that greatly in this next administration. I don't know how she will be, and it might be announced today or whatever. And you're saying, Clay, then that means you think like Stacey Abrams? No, I do not. Politically speaking, we disagree on just about everything. But is she a formidable opponent that kicked Georgia Republicans' butt? She sure did.
Yeah.
And so that was a very interesting thing to watch. And here's the interesting thing is, like in basketball, and as you could tell, and of course, Mr. Producer is off screen, but you would not look at us as being maybe basketball legends, but there's something in basketball when you call your shot, like right before you shoot it, you call it.
Yeah.
Like backboard or bank or something like that. Mm-hmm. Not only did Stacey Abrams whip the Republicans behind, she called her shot. Yeah. She told them it was going to happen while she did it, and it was interesting. Now, I think this has been proven so well on the show. I'm not an expert in anything. Other than Buc-ee's, I'm not an expert in anything. But what I think we've got to learn in our political lives is that the independent voter, in the race between Warnock and Ossoff and Loeffler and Perdue and stuff like that, your far right and your far left had already decided who they vote for. So you've got to somehow or another go after the average middle American person, kind of the average Georgia citizen, the independent, the undecided. And people say, well, there aren't any of those out there. There are. Just because you have put yourself into one camp doesn't mean that there aren't other people saying, because most people, I can tell you, Perdue and Loeffler, I had to go. I voted for them. I had to go pinch my nose to vote for those two people because my problem with them is they didn't represent anything that I know about Georgia. Now, I don't have any problems with either one of them for being wealthy. I mean, last time I checked, if somebody gave me the opportunity to be wealthy, I wouldn't turn it down. Yeah. But just getting to know those two people, they don't have anything in common with the Georgia that I know. The people, I'm on the 17th floor right here, the Trellis Carpenter building, and I can look down upon Waycross, Georgia. I'm just up in the only skyscraper, and I can look down and I see the people of Waycross, Georgia. And when I look at those people and I say, all right, let's sit down this person right here in Burger King with Kelly Loeffler, and let's see if they can have a conversation and see if they have something in common again. David Perdue, who would not even debate. The man would not even debate. And he's like, I wonder why I didn't do so well. Well, sir, because you were a chicken. You would not debate, because the only debate that you did debate against John Ossoff, he tore you apart. Now, when I say he tore you apart, that doesn't mean that I politically agree, but I, as an observer, can sit back and listen and just say, that man over there, the little skinny guy that looks like he's 12, made 1,000 good points to your no good points. Sir, you're not articulate. You're rich and you got a bunch of rich buddies, but you're not articulate and you don't understand Georgia, and that's why you lost. It's Stacey Abrams. Now, I would never vote for Stacey Abrams. I would never vote for John Ossoff. I would never vote for Raphael Warnock. I am smart enough to know they ran a better show than the other team. That's why they won. Same thing happened in the presidential election, but people still can't get over that.
Yeah.
One guy run a horrible campaign. Guess what happens when you run a horrible campaign?
You lose.
You lose. Yeah. He didn't execute. My job, boy. Get me all kind of fired. Hobby Lobby. Okay. They stand for Christian values. That's good. Other than that, Hobby Lobby's got me in a. So we have recently started. We've bought a tiny place up in the North Georgia mountains, just an old cabin up in the mountains, and nothing fancy, nothing. And it does a pretty view, but it's just an old cabin. So we start to try to put stuff in this here cabin so it'll look cabiny. And Hobby Lobby, the whole idea is, hey, well, let's get some plywood and write a nifty little. Now I'm about to I've been into your house once. I don't remember y'all's decor, so please don't. But my land's at the people that just think, oh, we got to go farmhouse. I want some plywood with a nifty little saying, live, laugh, love. Yeah. Oh, that kind of stuff's driving me. Do y'all have a lot of that stuff? Am I offending your wife at this time? No. God bless this kitchen. I'm a better kisser than I am cook. And these little sayings that people pay $60 for. Now, they're on sale. They were on sale for $80. They've been cutting at half price now for $40, and it is a piece of plywood and a little hand-painted, corny little Cracker Barrel saying across the front of it, and that's what everybody wants to go put into the cap. That and bears, and I don't want it. I want it to look a little bit clash of that. But Hobby Lobby, I go through wall-to-wall cheesy sayings and everything that they have, and then the other things, those flowers that smell horrible. What do they call that? They put them in bowls. The flowers, they got the strong scent.
Potpourri.
Oh, potpourri. Yeah, ugh. And so that's horrible. So I've been down on Hobby Lobby as well. Down on the Republican Party, bunch of idiots. So getting back to the Republican Party, you'd say, well, at the end of the day, what would the Democrats ultimately like to do to the Republican Party? I mean, in big picture, this is like, if you ask a second grader, what would this guy like to do to this guy? And what the Democrats would like to do to the Republican Party is to destroy it, to split it up, so that then they would lose all power and clout and would not be able to win an election. The Democrats were never able to do that. But guess who was able to do that? The Republican Party. Yeah. The Republican Party was able to split up their own Republican Party, and so now has no effectiveness whatsoever, because now we have three parties. This is what we have. We have the Democratic Party, and we've got another party who I have a name for, but I'm not going to use because it's not a bad word or anything, but I just don't want to excite people because people just can't see the facts of what went on. And then you had this remnant of people, and I think in the United States there's 700 of us. But we are just reasonable people that want people to behave and do right. So you got one party over here, you got one bunch of over here, and then there's this small remnant saying, like, listen, Republican Party, we can't be this anymore. We have to be reasonable human beings that are able to be reasonable thinkers. And we'd like to. Now, there's a bunch of names for things like Republican and name only, a rhino. Well, if that's what a Republican is, I ain't that. If storming into the building which we hold, I'm not worried about the senators and congressmen and all that kind of stuff, but that's more than that for us. That is our republic. That is our. Why am I going down this road? But that's not my party. You follow? Yeah. So if that's what a Republican is, you better believe I'm a rhino, because I might call myself a Republican, but I don't believe in anything of what's going on, over there. So we got this small little remnant of a party left over, just like sick of it all. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to be called. I might be the charter member, the sick of it all, party. Come join, my, parties. And then you got libertarians. They want you. Well, we already got that. It's libertarians. Come join us. Well, they're just hippie pot smokers. That's what libertarians are. And so then you're like, well, I don't know that I want to be a libertarian either. So sick of it all party, come join me. Sir, perhaps I could sign you up today, Mr. Producer.
That sounded pretty good.
Would you consider joining to be in the, you couldn't be the inaugural, remember, because I've already taken that spot.
Right.
But would you like to be?
Get it on the ground floor for sure.
Oh, Woody took number 2. So you're slow to the draw. So you would be number 3.
Yeah, I'll take 3.
Number 3. Okay. So, and I probably shouldn't put you on the spot like this. If a vaccine were available today for you, because you're not a senior citizen,
right?
Sometimes I act like it, but you're not a senior
no,
citizen.
I feel like it.
Yeah. Would you take a vaccine?
I would.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah,
I would too. Now here's the problem. Okay, so let me go over this with you. If you say, Clay, I don't feel comfortable with that quite yet, you know what I would say? Okay.
Yeah.
See how easy that is? And if you said, well, Clay, man, you're crazy. You need to take that vaccine. If I'd be like, I think I'm definitely going to take it. And you had strong feelings about it, just like, teach his own. I'm okay with it. See how easy that is?
Yeah.
See, America it's really that easy. Now, by the time I'm able to take a vaccine, because I think it'll go to medical personnel first, emergency personnel, seniors, and I think that's appropriate, the military, whatever, that needs to be, and then football players, because that's the next priority in all things. High school football players will get it next. By the time that I get it, there will probably be some data that will indicate if it's safe and all that kind of stuff. So I probably won't be getting it. I'm not going to be the first astronaut to go up on that shuttle. So I might have some data to prove, these kind of things. But I would take it. I don't have any issue. I've been taking vaccines since the day I was born.
Have you taken the flu shot this year?
I have not, but I would.
I did. They offered it at Browning's, by the way.
Oh, did they really?
Yes, they did.
I did not know
they
that.
Still do, probably.
That's right. They're over on Alice Street.
Yeah.
That's one of our proud sponsors.
That's where I got
That's our
mine.
only sponsor, really, if you think about it. So go buy Browning's. Go get you a flu shot. Who gives them to you? That's a little scary.
Not me yet.
Okay, that's the only answer I was really going for. Yeah, so you read my mind with
exactly.
that. Yeah, so I don't care who gives it to me, but that is the answer that I wanted would be, not me.
She is going to be trained for it.
Yeah.
Right now, as far as I know, she's not getting it.
Okay, speaking of not being the first guinea pig to go, they ain't going to be me.
Yeah, she wants to hurt you.
Yeah. She's like,
at least me and you, not everybody else. But
yeah. So don't we just yearn for simpler days?
Yeah.
Like even 3 years ago, when our biggest problem that we had in this community was not people with red hats storming the Capitol. That wasn't those kind of things.
Yeah.
It was the Cherokee Heights Neighborhood Association getting up in arms because two dogs barked. A man had enough nerve to go take a walk in his very neighborhood, and somebody shot off a firework.
Yeah,
those were the days that we used to live in that we thought were perilous times because of the Cherokee Heights Neighborhood Association bringing these extremities to our knowledge.
Yeah,
and now we have to deal with the real existence of real things, happening. And I heard, I don't know if you believe this or not, I heard the other day that someone shot off a firework. And nobody even said anything about it.
They don't even notice.
They don't even care anymore.
No.
That's how times are changing in this community. Man, I've been all over the board looking at my. So I think aren't we about to send out another $2,000 to folks?
That's what
we did. We did 2,000. Then we did 600. Right.
600 and 600.
I thought the first round
500. 500 first round. Second round was 600.
600. Really?
They're talking about 2,000. They were talking about 2,000. Then I've heard something about
Yeah.
1,400.
So am I crazy? Don't answer that because we know that. But here's a thing, and I think I'm the only person on planet Earth that thinks this way, and I'm okay with that. I'm familiar with that. But why don't we give $2,000 to people who need $2,000? Do you follow what I'm saying? So if my income has not been affected, but due to COVID, I mean, I can tell you more people whose income has not been affected than has been affected. Why don't we just give it to the people who either lost their jobs or had a reduction in income? Mm-hmm. Now, the next thing you're going to say is, but Clay, we can't keep track of that. Is that kind of what was going on in your mind or not really?
Yeah, that's exactly what was going on.
Well, but we can because the United States Labor Department is a whole entity that keeps up with that.
Yeah.
So I'll pick on my mom because I think my mom has given up on the show and no longer. But my mom was the first one to say, she's like, COVID hadn't affected me. I mean, it has, but don't misunderstand. I'm saying financially. COVID has affected my mom because she has friends that's had it and she's concerned. I don't mean that, but financially, my mom's a retired educator. Yeah. Her pay's not been changed whatsoever. She hasn't been laid off. And so she is now financially better off because of COVID. And she says, well, Clay, I think that's a really strange thing that our government is. I don't know that my mom says that, but she's a smart lady. She better be saying that. Yeah. And so I'm hopeful that people that do get those $2,000 don't go blow it on a TV and they give it back to a charity or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the majority of people that I know, and I don't want to get too specific, I'm picking on my mom, or if their income changed, it had nothing to do with COVID. Now, there are people that I know that had income affected by COVID, and I would love for them to receive some assistance. Yeah. So, but why do we just give it out willy-nilly? Well, by the way, we don't give it out to everybody because some people made too much money the previous year. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't make sense to me either because the previous year had nothing to do with COVID. They might have done very well the previous year, but this year they just got laid off. Yeah. So how does that? So I don't understand the whole thing. So nor do I ever expect the Republicans or the Democrats to ever use common sense. But give money to people who need it. Don't give money to people who don't need it. Is that way too simple?
Yeah.
Yes. That is way too simple. So just let me get a couple of quick things. I'm not going to get into it. Dan Mullen, still an idiot. If somebody at the University of Florida, and now I don't like the University of Florida, but you never heard me say things like that I thought, I'm not just going to take a jab at somebody at the University of Florida. You know, Urban Meyer was a great coach. But Steve Spurrier was a great, all that kind of. Dan Mullen's he's got to shut up. He just has to shut up. His own athletic director, in so many words, has said, "Hey man, stick to X's and O's, but you've got to get off of a microphone." Mm-hmm. Much like people would say that about me, but the difference is I'm of no importance. But this man, has got like a $40-something million contract, and he cannot get out of his own way. And 2021 seems to not have changed that either. What do you have on your mind, Mr. Producer? You tell me.
I wonder how could Dan Mullen get out of his own way?
He could get off of just give company lines during interviews, not try to think think about football, but as far as managing his football team through media, he's horrible. He needs to hush. He needs to stop talking. Mm-hmm. That's what he needs to do. Much like some people on Twitter should have done.
And Facebook.
But I'm thinking more specifically.
Twitter, definitely.
Twitter.
So what do you think of it? So let.
Okay.
In another horrible transition.
You're looking at me with eyes like this, like I don't know if I should ask this, but go ahead. I like this.
So what about Twitter and Facebook and all these other social media sites that are limiting people's use of their application?
It's interesting. The First Amendment to me, I think people misunderstand it, maybe including me. So I'm the first one. But Twitter is a company, correct?
Yes.
And Twitter can establish their own rules that I own a company. I'm sitting in it right now on the 17th floor of the Trellis Carpenter building. I have a little side gig in real estate you might have heard of. If somebody comes into my business and I don't like how they're conducting themselves, and I've only done this once, but I have done this once, I ask them to leave and I ask them to never come back. So I've got the right to do that, right?
As far as I know.
So I assume Twitter, although they would say, but Clay, that's different because Twitter is offering a venue, a vehicle for people to give some level of speech, but they're just the platform. So they can invite people who they want to. Like the New York Times can decide who they want to write in their paper and who they don't want to write in their paper, correct? Mm-hmm. So if Twitter does not like what they see, or they have standards or policies or guidelines that they think someone is breaking, whether they are breaking them or not, doesn't Twitter not have the right to say who can use their platform and who can't use their platform? I mean, I'm sure a court has already decided that before the Clay and Woodrow show has, but I don't have any problems with that. And here's the other thing about freedom. If you don't like it, stop using Twitter. Isn't that how freedom works?
Yeah, I don't know why people use Twitter anyway.
Yeah, no different. I think we had this discussion, but back with the mask argument, it's like, Kroger doesn't have the legal right to tell me to wear a mask. It's like, yeah, Kroger does. Kroger owns Kroger.
If you want in there without a shirt.
Yeah. So that rule's been in place for 30 years.
And even shoes.
I mean, trust me, I tried it, and they stopped me in produce. They said, Clay, hey, man, get a shirt on, all right?
They threw produce at you.
Yeah, they said, please get a shirt on. So Kroger has had those kind of rules. So companies have the right to make their own rules, and here's how freedom works. If you don't like it, don't use Kroger. Don't use Twitter. I about to give an example. There is a company that I disagree with, that I refuse to use, and that's the right that I have. And so freedom works a bunch of different ways. And so convenient freedom is not something that's ever been expressed. Freedom has been expressed. And so I don't know how the court views that. I'm just saying how I view it as an end. Twitter's got the daggone right to do whatever it is that Twitter wants to do. And if I don't like it, I don't have to use Twitter.
And they've got all kinds of stuff that we've changed our terms of service, and you click through stuff just to get to it, just to get to doing whatever you want to do. Nobody reads that stuff.
Yeah. So what time mark we are? I can give you a good story before we leave. We're 22 minutes?
26.
26. Okay, I'll be quick then. So, and this will be at the end because people are, I don't think I will say the name of the and I don't know the owners, but it was a fast food restaurant in town, and I'd never been to it before. So I'm gonna try to make this. Speaking of mask, so I go into a local restaurant, and this is kind of funny, but I pulled into the wrong drive, and I was just like, it was so late. I was coming home from a wrestling match. I was just like, I've never tried this place before. I'm gonna give it a try. It's a fast food place, okay? So I pull into it and I park. And when I get to it, I was like, well, it is kind of late. They may not even be open. And when I go into it, I pull on the door expecting it to be locked, but it opens right up. But when I open the door, back in the back, the people at the fast food place are cleaning. You can see them cleaning, and they have on very loud rap music, which, by the way, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with rap music. It just, I don't normally go into a fast food restaurant when music from the back kitchen is being blared,
right?
And you can look at me. I'm a connoisseur of rap. Let me name some rap artists for you real quick. Oh man, Young Jeezy, is that right?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know, dude. Why am I asking you?
I don't know that guy.
Yeah, if I would look at you, like the last thing that the producer would know about would be rap music. So anyhow, it being rap,
I could name all kinds.
Rap music. It doesn't. I don't. But I was like, man, that's odd. And so then I was like, oh, well, maybe they're closed. But then a lady comes from the back. She walks up to me. She goes, sir, can I take your order? And I said, yes. It was real cold that night. I have my hands in my pocket. So I'm looking up at the menu because I'd never eaten at this place before. And she goes, oh, but sir, I'm going to have to ask you, if you're going to order in here, you need to put on a mask. And I actually had a mask in both. I had a vest on in both pockets. So I continued to look up. Let me get my microphone because I'll give you the play-by-play of this. I continued to look up, and so I grabbed my mask, and the next thing I know, I hear this manager over here going, sir, either put on your mask or get out of here. So I took a pause at that. I did not appreciate, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So the young girl says, he's putting on his mask. Right when I asked him, he was grabbing it out of his pocket. And so I had it in my hand like this. And so I'm trying to communicate with him. He goes, it's not on his face right now. It's in his hand. And so I told the young lady that I would be eating elsewhere. Now, that doesn't make me anti-mask. That just makes me anti-poor customer service.
Yeah.
The guy's just like, when the lady asked me to put on the mask, I literally grabbed it as she was asking and was taking it out of my pocket. And before I could this guy starts just screaming at me. And let me tell you, his chicken might be good, but it ain't that good. You hear me?
Yeah, nobody's is.
Nobody's chicken's that good. Don't put baby in a corner. I don't even know what that means. What's that? Oh, that's from Dirty Nansen.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so you know how we name these things? I have no idea what we're going to name this. We've talked about a thousand different things. We just had a lot to cover.
Yeah.
A lot to cover.
A lot of catching up to do.
A lot of catching up to do. Love that chicken from. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
But I didn't so much love that. I never got any because a man screamed at me, trying to get my mask. Exiting his establishment, was I on my best behavior? Perhaps not. I'm not proud of that. I should have just walked to my car and just not said anything. But I might have had a couple parting shots. Shouldn't have done that. Not proud of that. In case they pull this up on video, they'll be able to see me turn around. Just, sometimes you have to let your heart be, you have to clear your thoughts. And so I decided to do it right there in the restaurant. Might have done that. And I'm not proud of that moment. You guys, anything else from you, Mr. Producer?
I got nothing.
Okay. You guys have a fantastic 2021. This is episode 41. And you guys just have a fantastic weekend. Great to see you.
On the side, let her go, let it ride.